Welcome to The Nation. Good afternoon. It is Tamina Kausji in our studios here at Bernama, and today I have in-house with me Rizal Kamal from LOL Events, who will be talking to us about the comedy scene in Malaysia. Welcome to the studio, Rizal.
Hi Tamina, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm good, we just finished a big show last weekend.
That's right. You just brought down Russell Peters for the second time to Malaysia.
Yes, it's always great to bring someone like Russell Peters down to Malaysia because he's such a big comedian and he's done so much. It shows that people in Malaysia love him.
That's right, that's right. So before we get started and get to the meat and bones of it, tell us a little bit about yourself, Rizal. Was comedy always a passion of yours? And how did you get into this line?
I've always loved stand-up comedy. What got me hooked into comedy was actually Eddie Murphy.
Okay, Eddie Murphy.
Right, Eddie Murphy did Raw and Delirious, and that was the first stand-up comedy show I've seen. Not live, but
yes, of course. We've all watched that old favorite.
Through video, VHS that time.
Okay, VHS, that's right.
Way back then. I just got hooked. It was the kind of comedy that really struck me because when we grow up in Malaysia, you see a lot of slapstick style comedy, a bit of the silly stuff, which is great as well.
That's great. I mean, comedy is comedy.
Yeah, things that
Stress
make you laugh, but there's a part of me, and I think with a lot of people as well, that wants that intellectual type of comedy, and that's when I got the opportunity to bring that kind of comedy to Malaysia. I decided, okay, that's what I want to do.
Okay, right. And how long has it been since you decided to switch over to this industry?
We started in June 2009, so it's been almost 6 years.
Right, 6 years that you guys have been around. Okay, right. So you decided that you wanted to bring down comedy acts and etc. But where did the idea for starting up LOL Events and these kind of really diverse comedy activities come from?
A friend of mine in Singapore started their shows in Singapore with John Atherton, which we call the Laugh Guru.
Okay, the Laugh Guru.
The Laugh Guru,
okay.
And he's fantastic in the sense that he does a lot of things in the local language, in Malay, and in Chinese, in a little bit of Tamil, a little bit of Arab. So he's a very multilingual type of comedian.
Right.
When he started doing shows in Singapore, I decided, hey, let's bring this to KL. And because we know Malaysians, we need this. We need a lot more laughter, and we need this kind of comedy in Malaysia as well.
Right, that type of comedy relief.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're actually bringing down more of a cerebral side of humor over here, something that is much needed. What do you think about the current crop of local comedians, on the other hand? I mean, we do have a fair number, especially the ones who are up and coming.
Yeah, well, we only have maybe a maximum of 15 to 20 really good stand-up comedians.
Right.
And that shows that we're just in our infancy. If you go to LA, there's 15 or 20 comedians in one building.
There you go. That's how we a good comparison.
Yeah. We have a long way to go. These guys here, some of them are really good. Some of them are ready to go out internationally. For example, Jason Leong right now is in Melbourne doing the Melbourne Comedy Festival for a month together with some of the local and Asian comedians.
Right.
And we can see that people from Australia are beginning to appreciate the way us Asians in Southeast Asia, the way we deliver our humor.
That's right.
And because of the things that we've done in Malaysia, over the past 6 years, growing comedy, bringing influences in, inspiring local people to do comedy and get good at it.
And there's also more comedy venues, for example, clubs and etc.
Yes, there's more avenues to do comedy. There's a lot more open mics where if you are funny, and if you're a guy and you are not successful with girls,
Yes,
You should go
there
into
does
comedy.
happen to be a niche over there. I'm still waiting for the revolution of, the women to say their piece and for a really funny lady or ladies to get up there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, last night
Right.
at Crack House Comedy, they did an audition
Right, an open audition.
ran by Joanne Kum to get the best female comedians, to get the young new talents.
Right, awesome.
I think there was about 14 talents altogether.
Okay,
And,
that's a very decent turnout.
Yeah,
Okay.
and two of them will go on Supercom. So all these activities are really good for the industry because
That's right.
we always want new people, new comedians to come out, and one or two will be, we hope to be the global superstar that we all want. you
Yeah,
know?
why not?
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not?
I mean,
Yeah.
we're very good, I think, Malaysians, up to a certain extent, talking about the things that frustrate us. Why not do it in a funny way for a change?
For sure. And I think that's what's great about comedy. It makes people laugh. And laughter is always a very good activity. It's healthy.
Therapeutic, really.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
When you sit down and laugh and you get a rush of endorphins in your
That's
body,
right.
you de-stress. And also there is the bit where you learn about something. There's always that
Yes.
learning bit.
I think that's always interesting, which is why, for example, I think people love actually watching foreign comedians or foreign acts, especially when they integrate something into the show from the local context.
Yes, a lot of the international comedians, when they
Mm-hmm.
come down, they'll talk a little bit about what they see here.
Right, yes.
Favorite topics are our mud rumpets who wears their jackets backwards.
That's
you know?
right. Very stylish.
Yeah.
If not.
They talk about our crazy traffic. They talk about taking forever to get from the airport to KL. All these little things that makes us a little bit different, a little bit special. And the comedians will pick it up and just say it on stage. Put it on stage.
That's right. So, I mean, it's very interesting to see how from your beginnings, your roots, you've come all the way up to here to bringing up, even a comedian like Russell Peters in-house. Why don't you tell us a little bit about one of the first shows that you ever organized? Something memorable, perhaps something that sticks out for you.
The first show we ever organized was in Zouk KL, as mentioned, in June 2009.
Right.
And it's still one of my favorite shows.
Still? Okay.
Really, because it was packed to the brim.
Right.
And nobody knew what to expect.
True enough.
Yes.
I mean, '09, one can imagine, people are just packing the rafters, but they don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen, and we
Right.
had a very diverse group of comedians.
Right.
We had John Atherton, as I mentioned, the Laugh Guru. He's from Australia. We had Terry Johnson, who's a black African American. Got to say things correctly. African American.
all right, that's all right.
Who wrote for In Living Colors,
Okay.
Terry Johnson, and we had
Brilliant.
our local guy Andrew Neto, and the three of them brought the house down. Nobody expected the show to be that good, in the sense
Right.
that it was a big roar of laughter every few seconds.
You could just feel the
You could
electricity
feel
in the venue.
electricity. It was like people were
Right.
like, "Whoa, what kind of
Wow.
show is this?" And everyone's so funny, and we don't experience this in Malaysia at that point.
That's right. That's amazing. I mean,
it
the
was
feeling
amazing.
of pioneering something like that.
Yeah. So that will always. I've done shows 10, 20 times bigger.
That's right.
But that's still a show that very close to my heart. I love that.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the most recent one that you got off your hands, Russell Peters. What's he really like, and what's it like organizing an event on such an enormous scale?
Russell, times when people think about A-list celebrity, thinks that they have a level of disconnection.
Right.
Because they're so high up there, they're so famous, everyone wants to be with them, or
Be seen
everyone
with
wants to be
them.
seen with them.
That's right.
But Russell is just such a relaxed guy. He
Right.
said, there was once I wanted to take a photo with someone I adored,
Right.
and that person was like, pushed me away, and
Okay.
I felt really bad. So I never want another person to feel that way when I'm famous. And now that he's famous, he's It's just very easy to connect. And one thing about Russell is, honestly, he's a kid.
Okay, a big kid at heart.
He is a big kid. You know, he's
Right.
always making fun of things. He's always joking around. He's relaxed.
Right.
It's just a joy, to just hang out with him.
Okay, sounds like an awesome man. And I think we've all had that moment where we see someone we admire, wow. And if you actually go through asking them for a picture to get rejected, that would be
Yep.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, I think Russell took, I don't know, hundreds of photos when he was here.
Oh, wow.
When he was here in KL, because he doesn't say no. And
Right.
anyone who wants to take a photo with him he's there and he's always smiling. He's smiling for the photo. So that's
Right.
great. I love that guy.
And how was the turnout like? Did it exceed your expectations?
Well, the first time we brought Russell down, 16,000 people came. So I was hoping, of course, to bring 16,000 people.
Right.
The second time around, and we did. We did. It didn't sell as fast as I wanted to, but towards the end, all the way, we managed to get 16,000 people down, and people loved the show.
Oh,
People really
brilliant.
loved the show. Russell this time around had a lot of improv
Okay.
incorporated into the show.
That's interesting.
He
Okay.
talks to the crowd,
Okay.
and then he gets that immediate reaction, and then he just jokes around.
And then he runs with it.
He runs with it.
Awesome. All right.
So that part, there's a lot more of that in the show as compared to the last show.
Right.
And some people would say, does he not have comedy material?
Right. Yes,
Is
that
that
can
why
be a question. Yes.
he's talking to the crowd? But I think it's a technique. It's a technique.
Okay.
It's not easy to just be funny every time you talk to someone because
No, that's actually much harder.
It's actually much harder.
Varying from your standard routine per se.
Exactly.
Right.
To delivering your standard routine, you just have to deliver the best from what you've practiced.
Yes, in a sense, rehearsed lines.
Rehearse lines,
Yes.
but when you do improv, you need to respond immediately to the
That's right.
situation, and it's funnier for me. I know I loved what he did when he started talking to the crowd. I feel that the energy is stronger, the laughs are harder.
Of course. I mean, nothing like, for example, even the comedy greats, the great Robin Williams. I mean, the improv bits are always what you're amazed.
Yeah, you're
How does this
amazed.
guy go on?
Yeah.
The same with Russell.
It's
Yeah.
like, how is he so fast? And that is what he is, and he's fast. He's very quick-witted. And when he shows that, people appreciate it. And
Right,
they
yes.
laugh. Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what people are coming to see. All right.
For sure.
Awesome. All right. So we'll take a quick break, and when we're back from the break, we'll be continuing talking to Rizal Kamal about LOL events and all the work that they've been doing to really give the comedy scene a kickstart here in Malaysia. Stay with us.
Ayah, nak kunci kereta. Budin dah habis cuci ni.
Rajinnya anak ayah. Nak ambil ni.
Tak apa ayah. Budin ikhlas tolong ayah ni.
Terima kasih Encik. Kalau Encik tolong saya, tak tahu apa saya nak buat.
Jangan macam ni, Cik. Saya ikhlas. Lagipun, kita kan sama-sama rakyat Malaysia. Kita saling membantu.
Ini rezeki perniagaan Encik. Dah pun diluluskan.
Terima kasih, Encik. Wah, cakap betul Encik buat kerja ya. Jom, Cik, saya belanja makan.
Encik, ni memang tugas saya. Lagipun saya dah dibayar gaji untuk semua ni. Saya tak harapkan balasan.
See you in a bit. Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and we're in the studios with Rizal Kamal from LOL Events speaking about the comedy scene in Malaysia. All right, Rizal, so as we were saying, now, are the majority of Malaysians, or do you think Asians, ready for stand-up comedy? We generally think of Malaysians and especially Asians as being rather reserved by nature. What do you have to say about that?
That is a very good question, in the sense that every culture has their limits, and every
Right.
culture has their taboos.
True.
For example, in the UK, you can't talk about race issues. You can't on stage, and people will just boo you if you say something bad about a black person in UK. You get booed off stage.
Right,
Right? But
okay.
here in Malaysia, we talk about race issues all the time, and that's what makes it funny for us. The Malay guy is like this, a little bit lazy. The Chinese guys are always thinking about money.
Right,
The
yeah.
Indian guys are always drinking. You know, that kind of stereotypes that we do.
Yeah, comedians trying to play off them and make it into, material.
Yeah, that's one of the formats that is actually most prevalent
Yes.
in the comedy scene currently. Although
Right.
some of the some of the comedians who've done this for a bit longer, they try to push away from that stereotype
Okay.
to create materials which is considered in the scene a little bit more advanced.
Right.
But it's easy. Everyone can relate to the differences in race. Nobody really makes it malicious.
True,
Yeah. And
very
it's always
true.
a learning experience about how each other races sees themselves.
Right, and I think it's a good thing. It's a healthy atmosphere within which you can actually put things out there.
Yeah. There are, of course, certain things that nobody can really speak of.
Right.
Things like rape or things like abortion, which is a sensitive topic.
Right. I mean,
all over the
yeah,
world.
building upon that, but there are some comedians in the US, for example, they do actually bring that up as a topic of discussion, and
So
the
for sure.
response has been mixed, I would say.
You have to be really smart. Like you mentioned before, that comedians are highly intelligent, and they have to be. I mean, they have to know where the boundaries are, and they have to know when to push the boundaries.
Right.
With which crowd can you actually push the boundaries?
Oh, yes.
And that's always the game that the comedians play when they are on stage. They try to take a step forward and see how the crowd react to a certain topic,
That's
and then
right.
they step back. It depends on how the audience react. If the audience react positively to a certain joke, they'll keep on moving forward.
That's right.
They get more
More adventurous.
more
They play a
adventurous.
little
They
more.
play a little more. So it all depends on the audience. And now
Right.
we're asking, are Asians ready for this?
Yes. Are
because-
our Malaysian audiences ready for it? What do you feel when you read the pulse of your crowds coming in for your events?
We are, in a sense, we are progressing.
Right.
We're progressing. The people who've been to one comedy show, they might get surprised by the level of openness that we talk when the comedians talk about something.
Yes.
But then they begin to accept it, because in the end, the comedians just want to make people laugh.
That's right.
They don't have any other intention. They're just up there on stage and they want to make people laugh. And to make people laugh is usually to take something that's close to their heart and
True.
turn it upside down.
Oh, spin it,
They
which is
spin it,
why
yeah.
most comedians, you often find that they talk about a painful childhood memory or family history, but they make it so hilarious.
They make it hilarious.
Exactly.
And they make something that we can relate to, something that sometimes we find offensive, or we find that we don't want to talk about it, and they
Yes.
take a very funny spin to it, and we begin to accept it, or we begin to see it in a funny way. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too, because looking at daily life, that's where the essence of all humor is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But the progression is, after a while, the people don't want to hear the same thing over and over again.
Yes,
And we've
true.
seen that. We've seen a progression in the audience.
Okay.
That, we want to hear something new.
So Malaysian audiences are maturing. In
We're,
that
yes,
sense.
we are maturing. So the comedians have to deliver something different every time. And that's where the danger lies, in a sense,
Okay.
danger.
The danger zone
the
is
danger
somewhere
zone,
around
you know,
there.
comedians need to be more and more edgy in order to be able to entertain the more mature crowd. But as Malaysian and Asia, this is still a niche. The audience are growing. There will still be new audience
Right.
that comes in. So
Of
we have
course.
to find that balance between the edgy stuff, which is too much for some people,
True. Good
and
point.
the same simple, funny stuff, which is boring for those who have gone
Yeah.
to a lot of comedy shows.
The straight up funny versus, you know, the extreme.
Yeah,
Right.
you can see that, you know, in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
in the UK or even the US, where the comedy market is very mature.
Right, yes, where
Yes.
consumers, they really know what they want.
They-
They'll heckle you off
They'll
stage,
heckle
regardless of
you
what
on
your name
stage.
is.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Heckling is part of the
The
culture,
culture.
of the show.
That's right. I think
Um,
over here it's the reverse. Sometimes we get foreign comedians, they heckle us. They're like, what do you think? Do you like this?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are still a very docile audience.
Oh, yes,
in
we
the sense
listen.
that we listen, and then when comedians talk to the crowd will go like, okay, I'm going to answer one line, and please don't talk to me anymore.
That's right. We freeze. We don't really participate.
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but a lot I see when I've been to clubs in the US, and when they talk to the crowd responds.
That's right. There's a
Uh-huh.
wave, you know.
There's a wave of response, and the material and the things that they talk about are very edgy, borderline,
They're
crazy stuff.
thought-provoking, yeah.
Thought-provoking stuff, because nobody wants to hear the usual kind of comedy. So it's
right.
different. We are heading towards there. I hope we don't go there so fast.
So
Because I
fast.
do
Okay,
like
why?
the simple,
Okay.
you know, run-of-the-mill kind of comedy, which is acceptable to most people.
There's a beauty to that, and it's
There's a
not
beauty
easy
there.
to do it either.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So what would you say, what's the best advice you could give to someone in the scene in Malaysia, let's say a kid in his early 20s, a girl, a guy, and they want to make it in the comedy scene? What would you tell them?
The most important thing a comedian needs to have is to be able to find their own voice. You can't
yeah.
imitate. Number one, you can't steal materials from other comedians.
No,
That's
yes.
a big no-no.
It's the biggest arena, and not possible.
That's the biggest thing. No,
That's
comedians
right.
hate that. Comedians as well hate people who's not original, who just take stuff on the internet and
Right.
then just repeats it on stage.
Of course.
In the scene, we forgive comedians, the young guys. We forgive
Right.
people who've done it the first time. We forgive them. No, I mean, you can do a little bit of other people's materials. You can do a little bit of stuff on stage, because it takes a long time
Right.
to gain that confidence.
Yes.
Know how to deliver and actually make people laugh. But once you have established yourself, you got to find your own voice. You got to be able to deliver original material. You have to deliver your own thoughts and your own views to the crowd, and
Right.
that's what the best comedians do.
That's right.
Yeah.
So voice is very, very important.
Very important. You know, you
Right.
have to be able to know who you are and find the best of yourself and deliver that on stage.
Which is why most people take from their backgrounds, and those make the best stories.
Yes,
Right.
because if you try to create a story out of nothing,
Right.
you will be seen. You know, the audience will feel it. The audience will see that something wrong with your story, or you don't seem very truthful about things.
There's something
There's
doesn't
something
jive.
that doesn't jive.
That's
Of
right.
course, you know, not all stories are exaggerated, and that's
Of course.
yeah,
Of course. That's
yeah.
the beauty of
That's
it.
the
You know, you
beauty,
take
yeah.
a drop and you make it into an ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. You exaggerate a story, you take the different parts of it, you add up, and it becomes a great story.
That's right.
But it has to come from an honest source.
From a
That's
place
what
of
it's-
truth.
From a place of truth, for
Right.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you've been to innumerable comedy shows. And what is a common theme that you find in the most successful comedians who you have seen? What qualities does it take to make one succeed as a comedian? The performer itself, as well as, you know, the profession.
Number one is unwavering confidence.
Unwavering confidence.
Yes.
That
Even-
sounds like a
yes.
tall bill.
even there's different types of comedians. The
Right.
deadpan comedian,
Oh, yes.
who just delivers something funny, but he doesn't really react.
That's right.
There's the one that is really loud and brash. But whatever style you have to believe in your ability to deliver.
That's right.
And just have that confidence to make people laugh. Because
Right.
if you don't have it, if you that nervous part of you, usually people will see, and people will get a little bit nervous with you. Unless that's your style. There are some people
Oh,
who
yes,
the nervous
I've
style
seen
is
that.
the nervous style is funny. But most of the established comedians, they deliver this energy of confidence. What
right.
is like telling the audience what I'm
Yeah.
saying is funny, and they
Yeah.
accept it and they laugh.
That aura
Yeah.
screams out at you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, there's unwavering confidence. What else? I mean, you've got the voice meaning that you need to have your personality injected into it, the confidence. What else do you think essentially makes a fantastic and an enjoyable performance?
A comedian must be funny.
Must be funny. All right, okay. That was that fan. Okay. I see where you're coming from that.
And as much as it's an art, stand-up
Okay.
comedy is an art,
Right.
and as much as we don't want restrictions in an art, there is a certain formula to telling a story or a joke. It's
Right.
actually a very simple premise of you got to have the setup, and then you
Okay.
got to have the punchline. Okay, that is the basic
Right.
of joke telling. But some people, even you guys, they still don't get it. They just keep on talking, and it's like, okay, this is a funny story, but where's the punchline?
That's right. Where's the
Yeah.
climax? Where's the big thing, the boom?
Where's the surprise? You know?
Right, yes.
So they have to learn the basics, and there's a lot of material out there in terms of books, in terms of what you want to find on the web,
Right.
for you to understand the basics of telling a joke, basics of stand-up comedy. You have to learn that. It's an art where you have to learn, and then deliver what is being taught. Once you are good at that, then you
Right.
take the art to a different level.
Then
And
you
that's-
refine it.
Then you refine it. Then you find
Right.
your own style. Then you find the different way to tell a joke. But
Yes,
if
same
you don't,
joke, but yeah.
yeah, but if you need to know the basics first,
right.
understand the intricacies of being a stand-up comedian before you can take it differently.
Right, okay. And we've got lots of opportunities at the moment for all the outstanding comedians out there. So yeah, great. So we'll be taking a short break, and when we're back, we'll still be with Rizal Kamal talking about LOL events and all the work they do in trying to bring up stand-up comedy in Malaysia. Stay with us.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, menjadi saluran pelbagai suara, segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and Rizal Kamal from LOL Events, speaking about the comedy scene, stand-up specifically, in Malaysia. All right, Rizal, so you've been in the industry and working hard towards developing it for the past 6-7 odd years. How different is it from when you first started?
When we first started, and that's in 2009, there were very few stand-up comedy shows.
Right.
And very few names in stand-up comedy. You know, things like there's Haris Iskandar, Douglas Lim, Joanne Kam, the three who has really established themselves in the English stand-up comedy scene.
That's right, English-wise.
English-wise. Now, Aflin Chowki is also great. He's done a little bit of English, but he's more focused on Malay segment or the Malay stand-up comedy. So in the English stand-up comedy world, there were very few. But the industry has gone. We brought down international comedians on a monthly basis.
A monthly basis,
people thought it was crazy.
That's right.
How can you sustain this?
Yeah, when we first heard about it, we were like, okay, interesting, but okay.
Yeah, you know, some people predict, oh, these guys won't last long. You know, Malaysians are not ready for this kind of entertainment.
Right.
But we managed to sustain ourselves. We've had great shows over the past 5.5 years.
Right.
Some very memorable ones where the comedians go sometimes too far, and we just brought great comedians that just thoroughly entertain the crowd, and I think from the crowd responds to it.
Right.
So now in the industry, in Malaysia and Asia overall, there's a lot more comedy organizers or comedy promoters, and that is great for the industry. It shows that we're growing as an industry. We are no longer a scene.
That's right.
We are industry, and I can honestly say that we can call stand-up comedy an industry right now, especially collectively in Asia, where the market is very raw.
Right. So you can actually say that, you know, Malaysia is part of the whole industry, not just the
industry
scene.
growth.
Right.
You know, in US, in UK and Australia, it's already matured.
Right.
Even in Canada, it's already a matured industry. But in Asia, we're just growing.
Right.
We're so far behind in terms of what the companies can do.
That's
and
right.
the number of comedians we have, and what the comedians can do, the
and
level,
what the market wants as well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So it's an exciting time to be here and helping this part of the industry grow. And we all need a little bit more laughter.
That's right. Okay.
So, a lot of patients are so stressed out.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're growing more and more urbane by the day, and I think the injection of laughter really helps. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll cut quickly to a video from LOL Events showcasing one of the most recent things which they handle. So let's have a look at it right now. Okay.
This is beautiful. This is very nice. Thank you.
Where my Malaysian people at? Yeah! Oh, yeah! It is good to be here, man. It is good to be here, and I'll tell you why. Because last night I was in Singapore. That's really about it. We are Malaysia, truly Asia. That's right, ain't it? That's what we are. Malaysia, truly Asia. What an incredible way to piss off the rest of Asia.
And for dessert, it was hot dogs. We thought, oh, you beauty, hot dogs, right? So I said, well, in my country, we don't eat this bit of the dog, eh? We were on Guam for 4 months, and then we had a choice of either going to France, Canada, or Australia. And we didn't want to go to France because, well, you know, French people live there. And we didn't want to go to Canada because, well, you know, French people live there.
Because Malaysians are not scared of horror movies. We're not. We're not. And for example, not even a horror movie, it's like a little thriller, you know, horror thriller. The Sixth Sense, where the little boy says to Bruce Willis, I see dead people. Malaysians in the audience are like, yeah, my auntie also see dead people.
Too far? Sorry. I apologize. That's so Japanese. I apologize. We're genetically encoded to apologize. It could be your fault. Throw your leg out, they'll trip on it, right? Sorry for your leg. Sorry. Apologize. Very sorry. Massage. Sorry for your, sorry. Hiding. They must have had serious guilt flying over Pearl Harbor. Just, sorry. So sorry. Sorry.
All right, brilliant. That was quite the laugh. Tell us a little bit about the Kings and Queens of Comedy.
Kings and Queen of Comedy will always be my favorite show because it is a concept that we created back in 2010. We had our first show.
Okay.
At that point, we didn't know, can we do a show of this size? 3,000 people in one venue,
That's right.
one night, and we did. We sold out our first ever Kings and Queen of Comedy Asia. Okay. And it's always focused on the best of Asian comedy,
right?
With a little bit mix from one or two from outside, but the overall concept is to deliver what the Malaysians want. We feel that show has a certain purity.
Okay.
Because it's about stand-up. It's about stand-up. It's about bringing what people want. So for me, that is always special. Because sometimes we bring a major artist like Jeff Dunham, or we bring Russell Peters.
Absolutely,
so it's
like
their
the
show.
crowd pullers.
They're the crowd pullers,
exactly.
but it's their show. It's their show. They fix everything they want. But for the Kings and Queen, it's a concept that we created, and we choose the best out there for the audience here in Malaysia and in Singapore.
Right, okay. So basically this will be happening later on this year as well. And well, even if you can't tell me who exactly you will be bringing down, tell me who would be some comedians it would be a dream come true for you to help bring down to Malaysia.
Well, the Kings and Queen of Comedy Asia, of course, we haven't fully finalized the lineup, but every year we try to bring a bigger name into it. We have our staple, which is Kumar.
Okay,
who's been
of
there every year because Kumar is just such a fantastic comedian. We'll definitely bring a very good mix into the show. But talking about who I'd like to bring...
Yeah, absolutely. One's got to ask that to a hardcore comedy fan.
I think one of the most exciting names in comedy right now is Kevin Hart.
Okay, Kevin
Hart.
Hart.
He's done so much, a lot of great movies. He's recently been awarded in the MTV Movie Award.
That's right.
He received the Comedy Genius Award. He's everywhere. You can see him at the roast of Justin Bieber, I think, which is out today on Comedy Central.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'm sure my teenage brother would be interested too. Yes.
Yeah, and he's just everywhere. He's the in-comedy guy.
Right.
And what I've known about Kevin Hart is he has that fire, he has that desire to travel the world and share his comedy.
That's
so
right.
I really hope that he'll come down to Malaysia, especially this part of the world, and showcase his talent. I mean, he's the in guy now.
Absolutely.
And other comedians, perhaps like Chris Rock. Who doesn't want to see Chris Rock?
Okay, come on. I mean, I just see his face and I already want to start laughing, even before he said a single line.
Yeah,
He's
Chris
amazing.
Rock is such a comedy genius. He's a comedy genius, and it's someone when they come down is a privilege
That's right.
to have. Other names I want to bring down is a fan favorite is Gabriel Iglesias.
Okay.
Something for the British guys here and a lot of the local as well. Eddie Izzard.
All right, yes. Long-term following over here.
Yeah, so
Right.
these are the guys that I think Malaysians would especially appreciate. And we've been talking to their agents. And of course, we'd like them to come down over the next year, a couple of years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We wish you all the best with
Thank
that.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've been focusing on, the triumphs and everything that goes into it. Now, what typically actually goes into, organizing and gearing up for a massive event, a massive comedy event? When does planning start? How's the process like?
The planning starts at a minimum of 8 months before
Right.
a show.
Minimum of 8.
Minimum
Okay.
of 8 months. One of the biggest issues is venue.
Okay.
Malaysia, we do lack good venues to do comedy. And for comedy, we can't do a show outdoor.
Yeah, you were mentioning indoor is essential to keep it contained.
To keep it contained, indoor is especially important because in the most important bit about stand-up comedy is sound.
Of course, naturally.
And outdoor sound travels
Oh,
everywhere,
yes,
and
it's
then there's a lot.
diffused, it's very
Yeah,
confusing.
it's diffused. There's a lot of things that can interfere.
That's right.
So it has to be indoor. So planning has to be way back to pick the right venue. And venues in Malaysia are always booked.
That's
like,
right. Booked through, because
booked
the good
through.
ones that we have.
The good ones,
Yes.
yes. Because for a large-scale event, we only have Stadium Putra
Right.
and Stadium Melawati.
That's true. So it's either or, really.
It's either or.
Or
Anything
any
above
event.
5,000, that is the only 2 venues.
Understood, yes.
Other than that, of course, booking the artists as well, plan their tour 6 months to a year in advance. So we have to get them way early. Of the things like sponsors they want to come in. Sponsor also wants to work with time. We have the marketing that comes out later, probably about 3 or 4 months before the show. But even then, for us to get a good deal on the best deal on marketing, we have to work way earlier. So when we do something of a scale like Russell Peters, where it's 8,000 people a night, we actually work really hard for 6 months to prepare for just that 2 days.
Right, so accommodating everything from the booking, the venue, the pre-sale and event day itself.
Yes, two of the most time-consuming bit is chasing things to be ready before we launch tickets.
Right.
Because once we launch tickets, it's very difficult to turn back.
Oh yes, it's absolute madness.
Yeah,
and you have to be ready for anything.
You have to be ready because once you sell and people buy, you can't change things.
Of course, naturally.
And that happens 3 or 4 months before a show.
Right.
And then when it comes closer to the show, the logistics of everything, the preparation to make sure things doesn't go wrong, to make sure things go right, is at least a couple of months of intense work.
Right, just refining it down
just
to a team.
Just refining it down to everything. And even then, sometimes things don't go 100% right. And it's up to the team to react at that
Just be
point.
adaptable.
Be adaptable. We have a good team to actually change things and adapt to things when problems go wrong. And the time limit is very short. Understand that on the event day, we have 3 days to set everything up.
Right, and it just goes from there.
And on the event day, we just have the things happen in a matter of minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all boils down to those couple of minutes where you got to show your best foot.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Amazing.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll take a short break, and when we're back, we'll be talking more to Rizal Kamal about what exactly makes comedy work in Malaysia. Stay with us.
menggugah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa. Jadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're with me, Tamina Kausji, and Rizal Kamal, speaking about LOL events and everything that they do comedy-wise. Right, Rizal. So as we were talking about, there has been a huge focus on bringing in the comedy acts that you have already succeeded in. Now, what about the future? Where are you and LOL events going to go from here?
The future, well, we've always done things based on comedy.
Right.
So we want to change our focus just a little bit and focus on laughter instead.
Right.
For what that means is we'd like to make our shows a lot more accessible.
Okay.
At this point, we've always targeted a certain group of audience,
right?
Which is mainly 18 and above, and the English-speaking audience,
right?
And a lot of it's like the mature English-speaking audience. That's what we target on. But I think laughter should be accessible for everyone.
Okay.
So we've
Good
created
point.
a festival for it.
A festival.
We call it LOL Fest.
Okay.
And we are going to bring a diverse type of acts. Which is for the more mature audience, but also for the young audience.
Okay, very interesting.
Acts for people who English is not the strong suit.
Right.
Acts for a certain group of people. Like we are working really hard to bring Japanese comedians down because they offer something very
That's right,
different.
and they have quite an eclectic as well as hardcore following.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
We want to bring a Korean group down, which has a lot of non-verbal comedy styles.
Okay, interesting. So let's just quickly cut to the promotion video for LOL Fest and let's check it out together. All right, so coming up at the end of July. Okay.
My daughter came up with that tagline. It's the coolest comedy event ever because we were just talking about it.
Right.
And she was there. It's like, why did you come up with a tagline? She's like, it's the coolest comedy event ever.
Aww.
She's 8 years old, so it was so cute that we said, let's just use that.
Yeah, just use that. It works, it works. It is definitely going to be the coolest ever.
Yeah.
Right.
So as I mentioned, we for LOL events, we want to focus on making as many people as possible laugh.
Right.
And so we'd like to diversify that way. Some people diversify by doing different type of things. We want to focus on comedy and laughter, but we want what we do to be more accessible. So the LOL Fest is one of the ways we're doing it. We'd like to go into TV and to produce some comedy shows.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Like to go into the web and start producing things where it just reaches out.
Right, web snippets, web shows. I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah, sky's the limit. There's so many ways to make people laugh. I mean, we have goals. Like, okay, we're just brainstorming. Okay, let's make 5 million people laugh in 5 years. It's like, okay, that's a goal that we like.
That's achievable.
That's achievable. That's also something different. I don't think there is any company anywhere that has a specific goal of making people laugh, because it's something we all need.
Absolutely.
We just need to go out there and laugh and to take life less seriously.
A little less
A
serious.
little less seriously. So
Absolutely.
sometimes Malaysians are like, oh, we're complaining about this, we're complaining about that. We're always complaining. But sometimes you just have to find the lighter side of things.
The lighter, the slightly brighter
The
side.
lighter and brighter. And I always believe that if you have a positive attitude towards things, it will improve eventually.
Good advice, good words. Now, I have to ask you this. You are in the industry of laughter, but what is the best aspect of your job?
The best aspect of my job is to see people laugh.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually as simple as that. You gotta understand the energy you feel when you are on stage. I'm not a comedian, but I've been on stage. I've hosted some shows with some great comedians. When you are on stage and you make people laugh, there is a wave of positive energy that flows back to you.
Of course.
And it's crazy that like I can't imagine like for Russell 8,000 people laugh,
Radiating good
radiating
vibes,
good
literally.
vibes to you.
Yes.
What I've experienced is in a show with 300 people, and it's such an amazing feeling. And even when I'm not on stage, when I'm off stage, looking at the side, I see so many people laugh, being happy, and that makes me feel happy. So it's just something that I just want to continually do.
Absolutely. Now, what makes you laugh? When you're in the audience, when you're sitting there and, checking out the scene, what makes you laugh?
Actually, the number one thing that makes me laugh are my kids.
Okay.
I mean, they're hilarious, and always, as I mentioned, is something close to my heart, to your heart, that makes you laugh, and my kids make me laugh. When I'm in the audience, everything makes me laugh, and I love to. I myself, I love to laugh. I think I have a weird screeching kind of laugh, which sometimes I hate, but I just want to express myself that way.
Well, they say the best laughs are the weirdest ones,
Yeah, I have a really, when I laugh really loud, it's almost a shrieking, embarrassing kind of laugh, but no, I just do it anyway.
Well, that's a genuine laugh, I would say, a genuine one.
So nothing in particular, if they're funny on stage, I'll laugh. I just nothing in particular. It could be the smallest thing. It could be if I know the comic on stage and they say something wrong, I'll laugh at them as well. So it could be so many things.
Right. So it could be anything at all, really. Now,
sure.
if you were going to have 3 comedians in for dinner, who would they be and why, dead or alive?
All right. I think George Carlin is one of my favorite comedians.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Too bad I can't have him for dinner right now. I've had dinner with Russell.
Okay,
so
there you go.
That's great.
One down.
One down. I'd love to have dinner with Chris Rock because he's so brazen. You don't know whether you can handle someone like that.
Right.
But I'd love to sit down and see what kind of topics I can talk to him about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that being what comedy is all about, making us think about the everyday as well as the not so everyday.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your time, Rizal.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure. Right. So we've had Rizal Kamal today in the studio with us, talking about taking from comedy all the way to laughter with LOL Events and all the work that they've been doing. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves as much as we have. We'll see you again next time.
All right.